Hey, how you doing, huh? What are you doing? Smash the up and let's get amplified. Hopefully you guys are kicking today's ass. Yeah. And hopefully you're ready for today's Amped Up podcast, Tuesday, August the 8th, 2023. We're going to be featuring the Monday Night Raw review on today's podcast, Raw from the 7th of August 2023, just last night, Judgment Day, possibly inheriting a donut. A JD McDoughnut might be in Judgment Day, which means you gotta believe a Damien Priest would have to be, a senior Money in the Bank might have to be out of that faction because it's just not big enough for the three of them. Those egos, Balor and Priest, already have enough between them. You add a McDoughnut, and that donut is already kind of ruffling those senior feathers. We'll talk about what happened last night on Monday Night Raw with Judgment Day and donuts, the kryptonite to Finn Balor and his precious abs. I cannot eat a donut. Also, last night, Miz, amplified Miz return. It's the best Miz for business. I always say, with Flip Flops Flanagan, Matthew P.H. Riddle, Scooter McGee, a serious Matt Riddle is best for business. It's best for him, it's best for us, it's best for the company. I also say that about Dolph Ziggler and The Miz, right? When they're amplified and serious, it's actually pretty good television, good promos, and you believe and you care about the matches more with them. Miz brought his amplified character last night, and he was face-to-face with SmackDown star who was backstage doing promotional work, now that he's the megastar, LA Knight, yeah. And wait till you hear what was said with these two. We're also going to talk a awkward fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for Gunther's IC title. Four dudes that do nothing but lose. We respect them. We want better. But Adam Pearce's reasoning as to why he put these four dudes in there just doesn't make sense. It's a review show. We got to talk about it. Becky Lynch was kept off of SummerSlam so that she could show up last night and drink a lot of lemonade. A lot of lemonade. While she watched Zoey Stark take on Shayna Baszler. Now, two badasses. Built, they both got some muscle, trained to kick ass, awesome. On paper, you might think, hey, that could be special. After last night, I don't think we ever need to see that again. And there's reasons for that, and BC is going to tell you exactly why that match did not work last night. Two big pushes last night. Gable and Shinsuke Nakamura. And at the end of this show, Sethington was wishing he didn't do something. Didn't accept an olive branch from Nakamura. Because when it was all said and done, Nakamura said, "Come on!" We'll talk all about that. And a big shakeup in commentary. Kevin Patrick got Das Boot. And he took the little weirdo, Corey Graves, with him to SmackDown. And they're not just going to switch roles. No, Michael Cole is also going to be on Friday still. So Kevin Patrick is going to be like the little stepbrother that can't get out of Big Brother's shadow. It's clear that it just didn't work with Kevin Patrick and that WWE did not want to fire or demote him back to just interviewing, which if you just put Byron Saxton with Corey Graves and Michael Cole, we know that's a winning formula. Good chemistry, especially with Corey and Byron Saxton. Kevin Patrick was great interviewing backstage. I don't know whose bright idea that was not so bright that it was to put Byron back there and put Kevin Patrick on commentary. And they kept it going for weeks and months. And now finally they admit their defeat. But they just don't want to admit they're wrong. So Michael Cole will be running both shows, Raw and SmackDown. And by the way, there's another big reason why that is happening. I told you the first big reason in yesterday's podcast. I'm going to give you another big reason. And you probably caught a lot of those hints last night when Michael Cole was speaking. We'll talk all about it. It is a packed, jacked, stacked. Did I flip that? It's packed, stacked, and jacked. Amped Up podcast today. There you go. BC needs more coffee. So let's pop this. Smash that up. Let's crack this coffee open and let's get amplified. Monday Night Raw, the 7th of August, 2023. And a big correction, too, from yesterday's Amped Up podcast, guys. Brock Lesnar debuted 2002, Cody Rhodes 2007. I can't tell you why I, for some reason, lumped Cody Rhodes into that class with like Brock and Batista and Orton and Cena. They were always around that same time frame for BC. I thought Cody Rhodes was a little closer. 5 years is a substantial difference, but he still had 16 years in the business. Cody Rhodes has won championships on top of championships. He has toured the world 15 times over and then some. He created another company, another organization with his buddies, and a really rich dude at the helm. So he's already had a full career. Everything from here on out is cherries on top. So for anybody to go, well, what Brock did at SummerSlam is passing a torch. Not even close, right? Because we heard a lot of that. We talked about it a little bit on the live stream even, and then you hear a lot about that afterwards, right? A lot of people saying, oh, such a cool moment, respect, passing of the torch. Guys, that doesn't work here. It just doesn't. We're moving the goalpost. I talked about it in yesterday's podcast. Andre the Giant passing it to Hulk Hogan, that's a torch being passed. Okay, Undertaker says he did the deed at WrestleMania to Roman because he felt it was the time to pass that torch to Roman. I don't agree with that situation or that outcome, by the way. Nothing was working for Roman. You could have Warrior, Savage, Bulldog, and so many others come back from the Great Yonder and take an L to Roman, and it's not going to help Roman when he was being shoved down everybody's throat as a face. The only thing that was going to help Roman is finally turning him and seeing the side that we all know is in him and is capable from within him, but he's being stifled and sabotaged by the same company that is trying to get him over by doing the same thing over and over. No, that's absolutely insane. Turned him, and then Roman blossomed. Nothing The Undertaker was going to do, no matter how many times Undertaker lost to Roman, was that going to help Roman Reigns. So that's why I'm against that decision. But Undertaker will tell you he felt that was the time to pass that torch. Right? Undertaker losing to Brock Lesnar and ending the undefeated streak? No, you didn't hear anything about a torch being passed, right? There was a reason for that. Undertaker's not going to pass a torch to Brock. Brock losing to Cody Rhodes Saturday night SummerSlam is not a torch. Cody Rhodes has been doing this so damn long and so damn successful. Brockton is not giving him a torch. If Brock had a torch, it was put out long ago. The part-time thing was cute from 2012 to maybe 17, 18. At about then, even way before the pandemic, it started to lose its touch, its flavor, right? By now, it's sad. You know, Brock comes up. We don't know if he's going to be a face, if he's going to be a heel. We don't know what Brock is going to be. And even Paul Levesque McMahon said Saturday night at the media scrum, he said, we never know what Brock's going to do. He just does whatever he wants out there. And by the way, Paul Levesque McMahon confirmed he did not sign off on the shaking of the hand after their match. That little hug it out moment and raising Cody's hand, and Cody's all smiles, and he earned the respect of Brock. Triple H did not sign off on that. He said, and I quote, that was but we talked about this in yesterday's podcast. He said it was unplanned and in the moment, and it even made him say, oh shit, what's Brock going to do right now? Like, H was actually concerned. So on one hand, that's fun when Brock does that. On the other hand, man, at least make it logical, right? You broke Cody's arm all throughout the summer, 17 different times. Talk shit to his family, beat him up in front of his mother, and you shake hands and smile and hug it out after your match. It doesn't make sense. But that's not the point. We already went way into that in yesterday's podcast, but there was a big botch there. I'll take the L on it. 5-year difference in debuting. So 2002 Brock, 2007 Cody, but still doesn't need a torch. So wanted to make that correction just so you guys didn't go off and think that they debuted in the same year, like for some reason BC thought. Thank you. Correction. All right, so let's get on with this now, man. That was just a correction from yesterday's Amped Up podcast. I wanted to make sure you guys knew that, because I said it several times in yesterday's Amped Up podcast, and that's why I don't want you guys thinking they debuted in the same year. They didn't. It was 5 years apart, but still, this is not a torch moment. And I think sometimes wrestling fans, they get all this wrestling terminology, and they truly think they know what it means, right? So they start claiming it for everything, you know. Oh, that was a double heel turn. No, it was not. That is not the definition of it, and that is not how it's executed. Oh, that was that right there. That was a passing of the torch moment. No, it's not the passing of the. This is not a new era. This is not a guy on his way out, and he's trying to set up the next big stuff. This is nothing to do with that. This is awesome. No, wait. The match has been going on for 2.5 minutes. All they did was a 457-20 Hurricanrana Super Splash Canadian Destroyer from the top rope. That doesn't make the match awesome. Well, I think it's awesome, piece. All right. Well, there you go. If it's a personal opinion, all right. But let's get on with it, guys. Monday Night Raw. This was the 7th of August, 2023, 2 days removed from SummerSlam. A bulk of this show, man. Paul Levesque McMahon must have been thrilled. A bulk of this show was just going over video packages of SummerSlam. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as Oscar would say. So, I always have fun with that, because Levesque has said in so many interviews, he just doesn't know how to book Raw. He doesn't. 3 hours is too much. He says the third hour is where he really starts to get stumped, but you can tell the whole show is kind of all over the place with Paul. He never knew how to... And in fairness, wasn't any better with Vincent Kennedy, I understand. But Paul Levesque doesn't... He admits he doesn't know how to... He doesn't know how to formulate the show. You know, and then he's got 2 hours on SmackDown to take care of. You know, no wonder the dude is poor guy. You see him now; he's got his bifocals. I love it. Wait, one more thing on Paul, guys. I gotta say this, and I'll get to the review. Did you guys see him at Money in the Bank? He had like the bifocals on, and he had to remember what matches were on the card. He had his cheat sheet. I can speak. Cheat sheet. I can speak. And he's reading that. He's just trying to remember the matches. Well, guys, it was hilarious. SummerSlam's media scrum. He goes, I'm not going to go over all the matches. You guys saw the show. I love it, bro. I love it. Honesty for once, right? Levesque is just like, I'm done with it. I don't know what the heck we just produced over the last 4.5 hours. You guys watched it. Ask the questions. Oh, man. 3 hours of Raw under Paul Levesque. Let's start this wild ride. We kick it off with Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. They start the show. KP got Das Boot. Again, I say this. Kevin Patrick, good dude. Good interviewer. Absolutely should not be fired. Has a good place in WWE. A lot of room to grow backstage in that area as well. And maybe even, I don't know, maybe produce. Who knows? If he's got a good mind for the business, maybe he can do a lot of things. Maybe he'll be a manager one day. Imagine little KP running around with Big Bronson Reed. But as a commentator, it just didn't work. We know that. There was times he was okay, but man, it always just seemed like he was just trying to scream words, and he doesn't have a screaming voice, right? Some people are just not good amplified, right? They try to turn the volume up within themselves. They try to get amplified. It just comes off as creepy or weird or just no. It's channel changing inducing, right? Nope, don't want to watch. That's a little weird. Or that doesn't sound too good. Kevin Patrick is just not a commentator. We found that out early, and this company didn't want to go with that truth. They didn't want to roll with it. They didn't want to believe that they got it this wrong, and they didn't want to admit that they were this wrong. Like BC admits from the top of the podcast, I was wrong yesterday. 5-year difference, Cody Brock's debut. 2002, 2007. I'm taking the L. Let's move on. WWE, whether it's Vincent Kennedy, Paul Levesque McMahon, it doesn't matter. They're very stubborn and defiant when admitting they're wrong in something. They don't like to do it. So they kept Kevin Patrick on Monday nights. And it was rough. It's been a rough ride, but finally we got change, man. I never thought we'd be so happy to see Michael Cole, but to hear his voice on Monday night, I was like, oh, thank you. I never thought I would say that. I was like, thank you. Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves have moved over to Friday nights. Now, that doesn't mean Kevin Patrick is going to remain in his role and he's going to be the A guy. No, Michael Cole is going with them, staying on Fridays, but also now doing Mondays, taking over KP's job. He's just now going to be overriding Kevin Patrick on Fridays as well. So they're staying defiant. They're not going to remove Kevin Patrick from commentary. I don't know what they're seeing or hearing or think is going to improve. But it's just not... Maybe they think it's a timing thing or he's going to find his groove. I don't think they understand. He doesn't have the voice for commentary. And it's nothing to do with an accent or anything like that. Lord Alfred Hayes is one of my favorites. Do you guys remember Lord Alfred Hayes? A Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan back to the ring. Loved it. It's just the voice for commentary when you have to hit those Jim Ross moments. By God, Stone Cold. You have to be able to, and raring to go at any moment, to really make those moments memorable. Because they are going to be the soundtrack for generations. And this generation has Kevin Patrick's voice all over these big moments. And it's bad. It's really bad. Or I can try to be more generous. It's really not good. So I don't know if I think they realize it and they just don't want to make that permanent move. But Byron Saxton is really good chemistry-wise with Corey Graves. Byron Saxton is a good commentator, and he's in the backstage doing these weird interviews every now and again, while Kevin Patrick is still, after all this time, trying to find his commentary voice. I told you guys in yesterday's Amped Up podcast that the company wants Michael Cole on Mondays and Fridays with the new rights fees deals coming up with the networks. They want their A-team ready to go. They want Michael Cole Mondays, Michael Cole Fridays, and when they're at the negotiating table with NBC, Universal, Comcast, and Fox or Amazon, whoever they're going to be negotiating with, and they start talking about their presentation, what they present on Mondays and Fridays, they're going to say, yeah, and our lead guy, Michael Cole, does the shows. That's what this is about, but it's even bigger than that. You guys noticed something at SummerSlam and last night? A lot more promotional ads coming from Michael Cole. Not just advertisements, commercials, marketing. Michael Cole is now pushing a lot of products during the matches, in between. You got lemonade out there. You got sports drinks out there. Slim Jims are at the commentary table. They're going to have Michael Cole sell all of this. Maybe Michael Cole's a part of this package, right? Slim Jim's going to do this deal with WWE, and they want Michael Cole as the salesman because they can't get Paul Heyman. And they know Kevin Patrick is not ready, and I don't know if he ever would be ready to sell like Michael Cole can sell you. Kevin Patrick trying to push the new lemonade and the Slim Jims and the new energy drink that WWE is pushing. Kevin Patrick has to concentrate on trying to call the match properly. So that's another big reason, man, that Michael Cole has to be on all these shows. Interesting note, Wade Barrett, Michael Cole. It was a refreshing thing to hear last night. I got to be honest with you. Wade Barrett's really good at what he does, and Michael Cole, whether we like him or not, he's really good at what he does. I've learned over the years to really appreciate Michael Cole. And on the other hand, it's kind of sad. Somebody brought it up in the Amped Up podcast yesterday. It sucks because, or at least they brought up Pat McAfee. And it makes you think, man, McAfee's gone. You know what I mean? Like, he's not coming back commentary-wise. Or he will once in a while, but he'll have a match once in a while. He says he's not gone for good, but That tells you he's not coming back to commentary, not for a long, long time, if ever, because they made this switch up. And even if you boot Kevin Patrick, what are you going to put Pat McAfee with Corey Graves and Michael Cole? That sounds good. And we got that at a pay-per-view, at least for a match, right? I think maybe it was a whole WrestleMania night. I forgot maybe it was the Rumble. I forget, man. But Pat McAfee was a surprise. And he did commentary with Corey Graves and Cole, and it was good. And it's fun with Corey and Pat, but can they sustain that? Or is that two really big egos and entities stepping over one another after a while? You would have to ask yourself. The more I think about it, maybe it'd be interesting, and I'd be here for them stepping over one another, maybe. But it's interesting, man. Pat McAfee, what does this shakeup do for him? Anyway, big, massive change started last night. Michael Cole, Wade Barrett on Monday Night Raw. Whew, lengthy conversation, man. I had a lot of coffee. There's a lot to talk about. Let's move on. Cody Rhodes kicks us off. He gets the cheap pop from Minneapolis, I believe, is where they were. Yeah, because he said Minneapolis. What do you want to talk about? And then Sethington Rollins comes to the ring. And after 10 minutes of whoa-wee-oh, or whatever his damn song is, I mute it because I get nauseated by everybody singing that for 10 minutes. After that, he then gets the cheap pop from Minneapolis. He says, Minneapolis, what's going on? And everybody cheers for him. So right from the jump, right? I know what you guys are thinking. BC was right. I started this podcast saying how I was wrong yesterday with a couple of debuts. Well, I was so right with Cody Rhodes in this situation. I put up an amped up podcast last week, and I told you guys, what I am hearing is that they have nothing for Cody Rhodes coming out of the Brock Lesnar summer-long shitfest. They didn't even have anything for Cody after Mania. They put him with Brock for no reason for 4 months. So it should come as no surprise that after SummerSlam, they still have nothing for Cody. And I put up that podcast, and a lot of people are like, nah, BC, I can't believe that. They got to have something big for Cody after Brock. BC, this was the big prize is going to be after he beats Brock for the final time, after SummerSlam. BC, he's going to have something big. And I said, no, that's not what I'm hearing. That's not what I'm hearing. And guess what? There he is with Sethington Rollins, and they're arguing. Sethington is like, I heard you say you can beat anybody. You really think that? And I'm thinking to myself, Cody already beat you 87 times, buddy. He already beat you 78 times, little buddy. Like, how many more times has he got to beat you? Interesting. But this is what you're scrambling, right? They had nothing, and they're just like, let's put our faces out there. And if you thought BC was right from the jump, hold the applause, hold the pat on the backs, because I was about to be even more right. Podcast after podcast, I've been telling you guys, the only thing they can really even do is to try to put Cody in a weird Judgment Day feud, even though he's already beat everybody in Judgment Day over the last couple of months. So I guess they just try to run it back going into the holidays as a filler for the next 4 months, because there are no other heels. Gunther's an IC title holder. You're not going to put him in there with Cody, obviously. Well, you take away Gunther and Imperium, you only have the Judgment Day. Cody going to take on Bronson Reed in a big feud over the next month or two, and Bronson can't even get past a Shinsuke? So I told you guys, don't be shocked if they just throw Cody out there with Judgment Day for the next several weeks or months after SummerSlam. And guess what happened while Sethington and Cody were arguing? Here comes the Judgment Day to the ring. The reason I am successful at this whole podcast thing, the reason that thousands of people listen, not just because I'm entertaining, which thank you for that as well, but it's knowledge. I'm looking 10 miles ahead of the game, and I see this happening in real time. And thankfully, I do have reputable sources, even though I hate that word, that they know a lot more than BC. And I'm able to get those words. And if I think it's reputable enough to give my audience, we're going to talk about it. And I felt that it was reputable enough to tell you guys, don't be shocked if Cody has nothing after SummerSlam. Here we are. And what are they setting up? Cody Rhodes says, well, I just got an idea. This is basically a quote. I just got an idea. There's 3 of you and there's 3 of us. Because at that point, I think, who was it? Sami Zayn came out, right? Yeah, Judgment Day attacked Sethington and Cody. Sami Zayn came to the ring because Sami doesn't have a partner anymore. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Sami, Cody, and Sethington are in the ring. The heels have retreated, and Cody says, there's 3 of you and there's 3 of us. Let's have a 6-man tag in the main event. And what does BC always tell you? We continue to have the same Raw main event trend of the same redundant, interchangeable 6-man schmazes. What am I talking about? Look at every main event on Monday Night Raw. It's usually Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, your tag title holders, with Cody Rhodes versus Judgment Day. Or maybe Imperium. Or it's Sami, Kevin, and Sethington versus Judgment Day or Imperium. Or it's Cody, Sethington, and Kevin. Or Cody, Sethington, Sami. It's interchangeable. You just take out a piece here, right? Judgment Day, you take out a Damien, and it's Dominic and Balor. You take out a Balor, it's Dominic and Damien. And every week, it's a 6-man tag of the same individuals. You're just plucking one. Maybe Matthew Riddle flip-flops Flanagan. Maybe he's in there with Owens and Zayn or Cody. It's Cody, Sethington, and Riddle, maybe. And you wait 3 hours every Monday to see another 6-man schmaz that leads to nothing. It is nonsensical. It has gotten to the point of redundant, boring redundancy. Let's kick it up a notch. Boring redundancy. And I've been telling you guys that podcast after. I hit every nail straight on the head on this one. I told you they would have nothing for Cody coming out of SummerSlam. Ding! BC's right. I told you, watch them thrust him in there with Judgment Day, stupidly, nonsensically, when they already had Cody defeat all of Judgment Day over the last several months. Watch them just throw Cody out there with Judgment Day immediately after SummerSlam. Ding! BC was right. I said, watch them continue to do these stupid, interchangeable, redundant 6-man schmazes for the main events of Monday night coming off of SummerSlam. Ding! BC was right. I'm right so often, I'm sick of the damn ding bell button going off. So that was your main event. Interchangeable. Now backstage, JD McDoughnuts attacked Sami Zayn. So Nakamura ended up taking his place. We'll talk all about that coming up, especially when we get to the main event. But first and foremost, to talk about the tag team title situation. Kevin Owens is injured. They don't have an exact timetable. So Sami Zayn is just walking around with... I don't even think he held his belt last night, actually. So maybe he's not walking around with any titles. But there's your tag team title holder. And does it even matter? That's the sad part, right? First of all, we wish Kevin Owens all the best. Speedy recovery. Not too speedy. Get fully healthy. But does it even matter in terms of the tag team titles? Because it's still a non-existent division. It's non-existent. It could not matter any less than it does right now. You would think this company always finds a way to go even lower, but you would think that they cannot stoop any lower as a division. They put the titles on Sami and Kevin. Good moment, main event at Mania, and they had nothing afterwards. Sound familiar? They told Sasha and Bayley after they won the titles they're going to make a division and they're going to be spearheading it. Well, they gave the titles to Sasha and Bayley, and then they said, sit in catering until we have something for you. And they never built a division. They walked out for a minute, didn't they? Sasha did. Then Sasha came back, and they tried to play the same game with Sasha and Naomi, Trinity Fatu. Hey, we'll give you the titles, and this time we're really going to make a division around you. They got the titles, they sat in catering, and got nothing. Sasha and Trinity finally said, I'm out of here. I'm fucking done, dude. Naomi has been with the company at 10 years at that point, only won 2 titles. One because it was Black History Month, and the other because it was her home city of Orlando. Meanwhile, Charlie at that point was only there 7 years, and she has 14 titles. And you could argue easily that Naomi is more athletic and even a better wrestler. How much more does Charlotte Flair have more than Naomi? What, a natural selection? A moonsault that never connects? She used to do a cartwheel in her entrance? Not a great seller. In fact, many times doesn't even like to sell. That's why you saw that real battle in the match with Nia Jax. She doesn't like to sell either. You put them together and we had a real fight in the ring. Remember that? So she doesn't like to sell. And there's people that are just more athletic and better at wrestling. But for some reason, we anointed Charlie as the person. Meanwhile, Naomi gets a tag title with her good friend Sasha and says, hey, we're going to make something out of this division finally. And they lied. And if you're Sasha, they lied twice to you. So yeah, they left. And they got absolutely ridiculed for it. Lots of backlash. Called unprofessional. And then Eric Young walks out and he gets praised. I don't blame Eric Young. I don't want to work with Vincent Kennedy McMahon just in case he's all over the weeds. He walked out. Good for him. Sasha and Naomi walked out. They were tired of all this shit. They're called unprofessional. Eric Young is praised. And people bow down. Good job, Eric. Sounds like a double standard to BC. So here we are. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. They win at WrestleMania and they have nothing. Nothing. There's no division. You could bring back the New Day. You can bring back Hawk from the Yonder. Animal too. Is Animal still rocking? I think Animal's still around, right? Well, you can resurrect the Legion of Doom. You can resurrect Demolition. Bring back the Rockers. It's not a division because they don't care about it. It's going to take a lot more than New Day coming back, which we'll get to. These tag team titles have been irrelevant. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens have been irrelevant, and it is sad. You guys remember it was not long ago, Sami Zayn was on top of the wrestling world going into Montreal. Some people thought he was actually going to win the championship. Oh, how far they have fallen so quickly, Sami Zayn. Literally a third wheel last night, to the point where McDoughnuts, a stack of McDoughnuts takes him out backstage. And some people would look at Nakamura as an upgrade. And if you want to switch over to the ladies real quick, Chelsea Green injured. No, Sonya Deville injured. Chelsea Green still has the titles. I don't know what they're going to do with them. As I don't believe I missed this last night. I thought they were going to acknowledge it. They talked about the ACL injury with Sonya, and I don't believe they announced a tournament or anything, but you know that's where they're going. If I'm wrong, I'll take the L on it. JR9, anybody can correct me on that. Maybe they did announce something, and I was just re-upping on a coffee. If they did, it was not a long segment. Chelsea wasn't out there cutting a promo, and Pierce comes out. They didn't do anything like that. At least not in the middle of the ring, because I would have caught it. I caught the whole 3 hours for the most part. So I don't know what they're going to, or if they made an announcement. I don't believe so last night. You got to believe a tournament or something. That's an injury that's taken him out way 2 months. It's like a curse that if you win the men's or women's tag titles, especially the women's, it's like a curse more than it is credit. More than it is triumph, it is actually defeat. More than it is good, it is actually more bad. It's like a curse if you win those women's tag titles. I think JR9, I think there was a super thanks, JR9. I wasn't able to read them yesterday, but I saw like stats on the females tag division. And I will go over, hopefully if there's time, I'm going to go over all those super thankses. And I really want to go over that super thanks. Because that'll tell you just how much of a curse it is, how much of a non-factor these tag team divisions truly are, especially for the females. And it looks like they're just going to be vacant yet again. I can't tell you how many times these titles have been vacant. You might as well just rename them the WWE vacancy titles. Because that's what they truly are. So that's right from the jump. That's the tag team situation for the men and the females last night. And that was the opening segment. And when it was all said and done, your one tag team champion left, right? Chelsea's over there by herself with 2 titles because her partner's injured. Sammy's over here with 2 titles because his partner's injured. And Sami Zayn was written off out of the match last night backstage by JD McDoughnuts. So he didn't even wrestle either last night. And Chelsea Green, nowhere to be found either. So that's the state of the tag team divisions and titles, guys. It could not be any worse. You would think maybe we shouldn't say that because this company would say, hold my coffee. By the way, we're doing the Mocha Frappuccino from the fine folks at Starbucks. This is our number 6. It's very early, still 10-something in the morning, 9-something, what the fuck, I don't even know. Yeah, maybe I should, that's a lot of coffee already. Well, it is what it is. Salute. Mocha is what we're doing right now, man. So that's the whole first segment. We just set up a 6-man schmaz for the end of the night like we always do. Then we go backstage. Adam Pearce tells Ricochet, Matt Riddle, Chad Gable, and Tommaso Ciampa that he feels they all deserve a shot at Gunther's IC title. So they'll all be in a fatal 4-way up next. Now wait. How do you figure? Adam Pearce is looking at Matthew Riddle, Flip Flops Flanagan, Tommaso Ciampa, Chad Gable, and Ricochet, and saying, it's all right there. I can feel your moment is coming, and that's why you're going to get a shot for the IC title. Fatal 4-way winner gets a shot. How do you figure? It doesn't make sense. You say, BC, man, how do you figure it doesn't make sense? Those are 4 really credible dudes because they're not booked as such. That's why. Right, you wouldn't have James Ellsworth come out of nowhere and just get a championship match. Well, if you're going to book these dudes no better, that's what you're telling us. If you look at Matthew Riddle himself, Scooter McGee, Flip Flops Flanagan, he just lost to Gunther at Money in the Bank, didn't he? Or one of the last few pay-per-views, I think it was Money in the Bank. Gunther defeated Riddle. 1, 2, 3, there's your shot. He literally beat him in a title match. Chad Gable, as much as we respect the dude, BC has been asking, begging, pleading for a push of Chad Gable since the Renaissance. But Gunther just beat Chad Gable last week. Last week, Gunther took care of him. So then you go to Ricochet. Ricochet just lost Saturday night to Logan Paul. Logan Paul would get a shot before Ricochet. Adam Pearce calls him up. Hey, I know you're really part-time, but you want a title match? Cheatery, I understand. But Adam Pearce said last night to Ricochet, I can't change the referee's decision. That's it. Logan won. You lost. Again. And Ricochet always loses. But you get a title shot. Tommaso, we respect Tommaso. I get it. Tommaso just lost last week via a fruit roll-up to Shinsuke Nakamura. A fruity roll-up. Take an L. And all 4 of these dudes get a shot at the IC title? I'm just asking for logic. It's not nitpicking. I'm watching my television show, WWE RAW, right? Just like you would watch Walking Dead. Or King of Queens. I don't care if it's a half-hour sitcom. Whether it's Breaking Bad or Saved by the Bell. I don't care what it is. You want a flow in the story progression, right? You want plot twists, not potholes. Plot twists, not potholes, right? Logic. The reason Walking Dead was good for at least 7 years is the stories were so good. You believed in the characters, you believed in the story. Breaking Bad till the very end, really good. It's because it flowed. There was logic and common sense being used. You could flow with the story. You can't just gather up all of the losers, even though we respect them, we know how good they are, we want good booking for them. Do that first. And then bring them together. Bring a collection of winners together and say, damn, you guys are going to have to fight this out. That's how close it is. No, he brings a bunch of misfits together because that's what they are in the WL columns. Losers. Worse than 50-50 booked. Well, if that's the case, just bring in the Brooklyn Brawler, Barry Horowitz, James Ellsworth, and Zach Gowen. That's what frustrates a lot of fans. Is this is a $1 billion conglomerate company with 614 writers, a supposed creative genius. Paul Levesque just called him that again on Saturday night. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, still a genius. Paul Levesque McMahon said you would be silly not to go to Vince McMahon even today for advice and for ideas and for counsel. Paul Levesque tells you, despite what you hear, we go to him. There's no wars, or we're not trying to hold an intervention or get Vince McMahon out of WWE so we can take over creative finally once and for all. No, we want him around, he said. You'd be silly not to want him around. Vince McMahon, a creative genius. And then people put Paul Levesque McMahon on a pedestal, right? Triple H is a genius. 614 writers, all the money in the world, all the resources, a 50-year-plus head start from anybody else. And it seems like every show they're just throwing salami at the wall, and if it sticks on a name, there you go, they're in the match. That's what frustrates. It doesn't seem like they care. It starts with the women's tag division, to the men's tag division, to the IC title. Roman Reigns, simple philosophy now. We thought it was just a nice, long, fun reign. No, now it's like fucking, let's just keep it on him to the end of time. We don't know where we're going with Roman. We think we're going to do Cody Roman at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. If things change, if LA Knight gets too hot, who knows? If we can get The Rock, we'll do that instead. Let's just keep it on Roman for now. It's just laziness, and that's what frustrates fans. This match makes 0 sense. But I digress, right? Beggars can't be choosers, and Chad Gable defeats Tommaso Ciampa via pinfall. And I'm here for it. You guys know how much I've been pushing for Chad Gable to get the push. And I know that Levesque couldn't care less about who went over in this match, the least of his issues. And I also know that Gable was most likely chosen because he's the Minnesota kid, right? They always do that, the hometown or the big home state guy. And Gable has the big pop, his family's front row, his little kid is dressed up like him, amateur-wise with the headpiece and all that, man. So I understand the reasons why Gable got the W. But the truth is he's long overdue for this push. So I'm pretty sure most of us are here for this. Let's see. It should be fun. Guys, if there was ever a time for an upset, and I've been very, very... I've been very stringent on who defeats Gunther lately. You guys know that. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and so many others. I've been saying no. You do not have Gunther hold the title for that long just to try to get Sheamus or Drew McIntyre back over. Sheamus already had many times where he had organic momentum, as he says, and the company failed him. Throwing a title on him was not needed. Drew McIntyre comes back just to play with Gunther in the IC title again when it should have been handled much differently. And by the way, he wasn't even on Monday Night Raw. So he takes an L and then he's gone again. So I said, no, Drew McIntyre, as much as we respect him, we want good booking. No, he should not be beating Gunther for the title. But if you're telling me that at a pay-per-view, in a long, kick-ass match, Chad Gable shocks the world and defeats Gunther, and he's the one to take the IC title, guys, I am finally saying it. It's been a long time. It's been many individuals. I've turned them down. Chad Gable, I'd say salute. I'm here for it. I'd probably put a great into the good column. 2 goods. Because that would be a great moment. And I know the match would rock out. And I know that because we saw a taste of it last week. I'd be down with that, man. We'll see how they go with this, man. They could just throw that match next Monday night for all we know, right? And Gable loses in 4 minutes. Shinsuke Nakamura up next defeats Big Bronson Reed via pinfall off Kinshasa. By the way, yeah, let's mix that in with that last outcome, by the way. Gable pinned Tommaso in that fatal 4-way. Interesting. That was interesting. Protected Scooter McGee, Flip-Flops Flanagan, even though he continues just to lose. They don't know what to do with Flip-Flops. And I hope they're just not waiting for Randy to come back so we can do Randy 420 again. RK Bro. I hope we're not just waiting on that. Please do not waste Randy Orton in this comedy tag team in a non-existent division. I hope that's not what we're doing. But they protected him last night, and they protected Ricochet because he did have a really good match at SummerSlam. Had to take the L to Logan. That had to happen. So they protected him, and they said, Tommaso, you're the expendable one. And that's 2 straight weeks that Tommaso has taken an L. And he is literally 50-50 booked now since his return. And then on the flip side, to end hour number 1, Nakamura, simplistically, I feel, defeats Big Bronson Reed with Kinshasa. Bronson Reed, not so big in WWE at this point. Did they give up on him, or they just don't know what to do with him? Or they just feel he's expendable? Interesting. Hour number 2, Becky Lynch. She says she's tired and weary, but hopeful to end things with Trish Stratus next week in Canada on Raw. This brings out Zoey Stark. Zoey comes to the ring. Zoey says she's the best in the game today. This brings out Shayna Baszler, and we have an impromptu match between the two, Shayna and Zoey. And Becky Lynch, throughout this whole match, is just drinking cup after cup of lemonade. I've never seen someone drink that much lemonade. So she was kept off of SummerSlam and brought into Minneapolis to drink a bunch of lemonade. And when the match was over, that was it. She spritzed some lemonade, tapping into her inner Paul Levesque McMahon. She spritzed some lemonade. Thanks for showing up. You talk about an easy payday. Come in. We're going to have you drink lemonade. That's right. And then she walked off. The match itself, this was a long match. 2 commercial breaks, pretty long, not that good, and unfortunately not that fun. On paper, you would think these are 2 badasses. This could be a good match. But now after seeing the real thing, it was not good. Zoe's really good, I feel. Baszler is still so rough in so many areas. When you add the fact that she can't talk on the mic, that is also going to hurt Shayna Baszler, even if they try to strap any type of a rocket onto her. That's going to hurt her greatly. You have to be careful on how you push her. Doesn't mean she can't get over. There was a couple times she should have already been. But it has to be pristinely done now. You got to work a lot harder because there's a lot of areas in Shayna's game that unfortunately they're not checked off. Baszler pins Stark with what is called the world's baddest slam. Like the world's baddest woman, the world's baddest slam. I don't know. And it was botched badly. It took 3 attempts. I don't know if Shayna could not get Zoey up, if Zoey wasn't jumping up big enough. It was botched. 3 attempts to finally get this move. When it was finally performed, it didn't look that devastating. It looked like you could kick out at 1 4/10. But Zoey's out looking up at the light, supposedly. Even Michael Cole is like, world's, what is it called? Baddest slam! And Becky's pounding lemonade, spritzing it, and we go to, I don't know, like LA Knight's backstage, and Miz is pissed. Because he wanted to be in the photo shoot for Slim Jim. And there's LA Knight doing his little thing. His photo shoot for Slim Jim. But I'm like, why would you waste Zoey in Baszler, by the way? That could be something you could promote. Maybe it's best it wasn't on a pay-per-view, but still. You would have thought you would. Why is Zoey even in that position? You've been trying to build Zoey up, pairing her with Trish Stratus. She beats Becky Lynch a few weeks ago. And she just out of nowhere loses to Baszler, telling everybody, okay, Baszler is a badass. Zoey not so much. That's a very odd booking to PC Amplified. And then we got to a very well done backstage segment. Very well done. So you had Finn Balor, Damien Priest, JD McDoughnuts, and Rhea Ripley backstage. So well done. Balor is talking to McDoughnuts. They've known each other for a long, long time, so they're having a conversation. Damien Priest walks up, says, Finn, can I talk to you privately? Official Judgment Day business. Balor looks at Priest and says, I'm talking to McDoughnuts. Anything you can say in front of me, you can say in front of McDoughnuts. So Damien says, okay. I need to know what was that out there, man. When we attacked Cody and Sethington, you come out of nowhere. We didn't even know you were going to be out there because you weren't standing with us. You weren't there for us when we got into the ring standing side by side. And Balor's like you were there for me Saturday for my title match? And Damien's like, everybody knows why I was out there. I was there to help you win the title. And Balor goes, to help me win it or keep me from winning it? And he's in Damien's face at this point. Real hostile sitch. And I love the line that Priest used. Balor's in his face. Sort of. I mean, Damien's much taller. But he's right there. And Damien goes, you're starting to crowd my space. You're starting to crowd me. Damien was really getting pissed. McDoughnuts chimes in. He says, maybe it's not my place to say, but it seems to me like that contract is doing more bad than good. You may want to get rid of it. And he walks off. Like, who are you? Balor walks off with him. Or Rhea Ripley separates Balor and Damien. And Balor ends up walking off. And Damien goes to go after McDoughnuts, pissed off. And Rhea's like, no. And I love the line that Damien used. What was it? I don't think I wrote it down, man. I don't think it was up in the notes. Why is he even talking? That's what it was, man. So he goes to go after McDoughnuts. Rhea's holding him back. And he goes, no, why is he even talking? Like, who is he to say anything? This is Judgment Day business. This is exactly why I wanted it just me and Finn. Why is he now invoking his own voice into our group? Loved it, man. Damian Priest. Best I've heard this dude. Most real it's been from Damian Priest. A very well done backstage segment by everybody. Just had to give big props on that. Now, also backstage again, McDoughnuts would take out Sami Zayn. So he's really trying to get into the good graces of his good buddy Finn Balor. And it looks like trying to make Damian Priest out to be the bad guy or the odd man out. Kaiser ends hour number 2 defeating Otis via pinfall. All 3 members of Imperium orchestrated the victory beautifully. Gable would eventually hit the ring much too late. He's like the guy who you invite to the wedding or the party who's just super late, like obnoxiously late. Like everything stops when he walks through the door because people are like, is he just showing up? He's that dude, right? Sitting on his couch all the time in the world to get ready and be there on time, but thinks that he has all the time in the world, so leaves late, catches every red light, has to get gas, ends up with a flat tire, forgets a couple of errands along the way that needed to be accomplished before he gets back home, and by the time he hits that party or that wedding, half of it is over, and everybody's looking at him like that dude. There's Chad Gable, man. The match is over. Otis lost. And then the beatdown afterwards. What were you doing? So Chad Gable tries to help out, but he's much too late. That ends hour number 2. Miz starts hour 3. And by the way, I love Kaiser trying to flirt with Maxine and Maxine being absolutely appalled. Beautiful, man. I love that. It's so real. That ended hour number 2. Hour number 3 starts with Miz. I don't even know if this was a Miz TV. This was just amplified Miz, and I'm here for it, man. Miz starts the third hour. I wonder if I can cue up audio. Let me get a swig of coffee. I'll see if I can cue up audio. I think that would be better, man. You guys really got to hear this promo because it was so good from both. All right, so I have a little bit of audio queued up. This is from The Miz, a good promo, face-off with LA Knight and Amplified Miz. And an Amplified Miz is just best for business. It's just a little bit of his promo last night. Take it away, Miz.
The Miz, and what you take away from me, you take away my success, my fame, my money. You strip away my hot wife. You strip away every ounce of charisma that I have. And what do you get? LA Knight. You are a flash in the pan. You are a flavor of the month. Now, don't get me wrong. All these people right here love you right now, and they'll probably love you for the next 5 months. They'll buy your t-shirts because they think you're it. But you know what I think? I think you're just an Attitude Era fanboy playing cosplay in my ring.
Damn. Attitude Era fanboy playing cosplay in my ring.
Let me be honest. I don't have a problem with you. But trust me when I say you do not want to make this personal. Personal? You want to talk personal?
Listen to Miz.
Personal. I take my career very, very personal. I've taken it personal for 20 years. I took it personal when I first got here and people said I'd be fired within 3 months. I took it personal when I was kicked out of the locker room. I still take it personal to this day, even though I have main evented WrestleMania. I am a 2-time Grand Slam champion. I have made myself indestructible to anyone in that locker room. Anything they give me out here for 20 years. What have you done for the past 20 years?
Miz absolutely just flipping out, man. And it was great. LA Knight was like feeling the passion. It was just great. And Knight went on to his rebuttal was... funny you should say, for the last 20 years, and he started to talk about his journey. People think he just popped up in WWE last year out of nowhere. This dude has been wrestling for 20 years, man. This dude's 40, 41 years old already. It's just because he wasn't in WWE. So he got the chance. LA Knight got a chance to tell a story instead of what we call soundbite promos. Soundbite promos is when he just goes out and says, yeah, or let me talk to you, or you just go deliver your catchphrases, right? The Rock had a lot of those, but then there was times where Rock could tell whole story monologues for 20 minutes. This was more than soundbite promo status. This was LA Knight getting to do a real lengthy face-off promo. A real back and forth. LA Knight delivered big time. Amplified. Miz was just, man, next level. This is the type of stuff you get to see on WWE.com, like backstage with Dolph Ziggler and Miz. That's when they deliver these type of amplified promos. They think it doesn't matter anyway. I can pretty much, there's much more leniency. I'm not following a script. Let's rock. And so you get away with a little bit more, and it just comes off better with these backstage promos that don't even make the show. It's on like .com. Well, they got to do that in the ring, man. And that was, man, that was so good. LA Knight looks at Miz and says, the reason you got all the opportunities you did and I didn't is because you're safe. They look at me as the dangerous one, right? I'm the wild card. They don't know what LA Knight's going to do. But with you, it's safe. They know you'll be there with the promotionals every morning at 6 a.m. They'll know you'll make the school commitment, the fucking whatever, be a star, anti-bullying campaign. You'll be there for 12. You'll make the Make-A-Wish for 3 o'clock. You'll go over for the meet and greet at 5. And you'll be there for the event at 6:30. And at 9 o'clock, you'll do exactly what they say on that show. Me? Wild card. I'm the megastar. We're going to negotiate every little part of my day. I am going to do what is best for business for me. Not just for the company. I'm not the company yes man, right? That was basically in a nutshell his delivery. You're safe. I'm what the company deems dangerous. Loved it. Loved it. These two, man. At first, I was like, oh, man, they're really going to do an LA Knight Miz feud? Is that really where we're going? But if you do it in a fun way, man, and you really knock it up to a point where it's something that captivates, no matter where on the spectrum, whether it captivates you at a 10 or it captivates you at a 2, but a promo like that, I mean, you could look at Becky Lynch, Zoey Stark, and Shayna Baszler's promo from earlier. Compare it to that. One was up here, the other not so much. Just for comparison, 10 minutes before was that promo, 15 minutes. And then you see that. And BC, man, I put the volume up and I was like, let's rock. That's why I didn't even put a lot in the notes. I didn't want to write nothing. I wanted to just totally be consumed by that promo, have fun with it, let them rock out because I knew they were jiving. I knew they were feeling it. and I just wanted to be in that moment. And I said, you know what? I'll just talk about exactly how I remember it. Maybe I'll even play an audio clip when we do the review. So that's what we just did. Really good LA Knight and The Miz. Man, those are the promos that can set up matches. Toward the end of it, by the way, failed skull-crushing finale by The Miz, and LA Knight was able to reverse that into blunt force trauma. And then he lays down and shakes the hand of Miz, because that's how this whole promo started. Miz said, "Who are you? You didn't even introduce yourself and shake my hand." Blunt force trauma, shakes his hand as Miz is looking up at the lights. Too funny. Lights were on, nobody home, and he shakes his hand anyway. Very, very funny way to end that segment, and just a good segment all around. Very, very good. I cannot praise it enough. Then the New Day returns. The New Day. I was literally getting a fresh coffee at the time, and I heard the music, and I'm like, oh, here it. Now, if Big E came out, I'm popping. Much respect to Xavier, much respect to Kofi, no question. It's just like Drew McIntyre, all this time off for that big face payoff, music hits, crowd is like, we haven't seen you in a while, and they all cheer. Is it worth it? It's the same New Day. They're out. New Day rocks nonstop. After the match, they were backstage saying, do you know why we're going to win the titles or whatever? It's because New Day rocks. And we're doing the chants. The trumpet is out there. We're fucking doing the trumpet. Guys, if you watch the match, look at the crowd, listen to the crowd. As the match went on, man, everyone was like, all right, it's the same New Day that we've seen for 87 years, and they haven't changed one bit. The only thing that changed, Xavier's hairdo. It's not fun. You gotta switch it up. You have to. My favorite tag team in the world, the Usos, but even them being in the bloodline, man, that was just, it revitalized their career. In a non-existent division, like the tag team division in WWE, the Usos would have been casualties of it. Do something with the New Day. I don't even know what, because even when they're by themselves, man, if it wasn't for Kofi Mania, you're still going to have that same, the dancing, the juking, and the jiving, and everything's a parade, and unicorns and rainbows. And is there anything else? Is there anything else you can do with them? If not, okay. But whoa, I can't say that I was too thrilled about that. I would have been if it was a different type of a debut, if something new, fresh happened, right? Even Roman Reigns had to turn his character to make people care and to change it up and make it better for him, us, and everybody, the company. Even Roman makes you think the New Day doesn't have to. They come out, they beat the Viking Raiders. These damn Vikings. What's the stat on the Vikings? The Vikings are 21 matches since Mania, or maybe a couple of those are right before Mania, but right around WrestleMania, they've had 21 matches. And that includes like some individual ones. Maybe Eric was in or Ivar was in a singles match, but 21 matches, most televised. They've won 2. 2 wins out of 21 since Mania. These were once the War Machine. One of the most feared tag teams in the industry. Thought when they leave NXT and go to the main roster, nobody can botch them. That's how dominant they are. New Day comes back, ring rust, this, that, and the other thing, and Vikings are like, fuck, man, we almost had you. No, you didn't. 6 minutes later, you're looking up at the lights like you do with everybody else. And you can have Van Halen in your corner. As much as I love the rock band, you can have Van Halen out there. It ain't going to change anything. They need to change as well. Stop being Vikings. That's a start. I don't even mind gimmicks, by the way. I didn't mind fucking R&R Shyster IRS. I didn't mind Duke the Dumpster Drosy. I didn't mind Doink the Clown. I don't mind gimmicks. Papa Shango. BC's up for a good gimmick. It's pro wrestling. It's zany anyway. I don't care if it's 2023, 3043. I don't mind gimmicks. This Viking shit just isn't working. Hasn't, isn't, won't. Raquel Rodriguez attacks Rhea Ripley at ringside. This was right before the main event, so Rhea was out there. Raquel jumps out of nowhere. Earlier in the night, Adam Pearce said, I cannot clear you yet. The second I can, you'll get your title match. Raquel goes out there, looking damn good, by the way, in those fucking high boots. I'm like, all right, Raquel's got legs for days. Damn. and Raquel's beating down on Rhea Ripley. It's an all-out brawl. It involves Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell. Sad to see Indy Hartwell get called up, and literally nothing for her. In catering every Monday. Left off of pay-per-views already, and when she is used, she's breaking people apart in a brawl as if she's an official. But her and Candice are out there, Indy and Candice, because Raquel's their friend, and they're trying to back her off for her safety. She's injured. You shouldn't be doing this. So I can accept that. I just wish people knew Indy Hartwell a little better. Got to see more of LeRae to care that they were out there, like a lot of us did, who actually watched NXT and know about them. So they're out there. And they actually added to this brawl, man. Guys, this was so well done. This was a very well done women's brawl. Adam Pearce, officials, referees, trainers, everybody's out there. Indy, Candice, everybody's trying to break them apart. Candice and Indy get into it because Raquel's or Rhea's throwing them into barricades. So Candice just tackles her, and it looked like a real... Listen, BC grew up in projects. That's how these females would fight. They would just start wailing it. They don't think twice. They just go. And Candice and Rhea look like they're actually in a street brawl. Indy Hartwell gets in on it. It was actually a very well done brawl. Like, I was actually captivated by that brawl. And I see so many brawls, and most of them are never done correctly. Most of them don't even have the correct situation or scenario to have a brawl. This was so fucking well done, man. And Candice LeRae and Indy added a lot to it, especially LeRae. And Rhea keeps jumping on to Raquel. Raquel's trying to get back at her. Beautifully done. You know, you book this, and you do it the right way over time, I'll have no problem with Raquel versus Rhea. I said on day one when they had that first face-off, that's a match I didn't know I needed to see, but in the future, if done properly, I will want to see it. Those are almost my quote. That's my quote. And what did they do? They skyrocketed to SummerSlam for some reason. Maybe you could say, thankfully, it was pulled off so we could do it the right way. So, hey, sometimes things work out by just taking a step back, taking a breath, and realizing we can do better. So this was a really good brawl before the main event. The main event, Judgment Day versus Cody, Sethington, and Nakamura, who took the place of Sami Zayn, of course. Cody pins Balor via Crossroads. So Balor has taken another straight L. Sethington got him on Saturday Night SummerSlam, and Cody is beating him as well. Balor takes the L, Crossroads. Nakamura, post-match, delivers a Kinshasa onto Rollins. So you could see everybody celebrating. Cody's up on a ring rope, on the top rope, celebrating. Sethington's on a rope. I think Sammy ended up joining the fray afterwards because there was a little melee. Sammy, even though he was taken out of that match, he did interfere. He helped the faces toward the end. So Sammy was out there as well. Everybody's celebrating but Nakamura. He's kind of looking like he's going to do something. And sure enough, he takes out Sethington. Obviously, his plans, he wants the world championship. And I love when he exited. He's just like, what? Something I did? Several weeks ago, he already made he's done just kind of floating around the mid-card and not being taken as a main eventer, right? So he's taken out Tommaso Ciampa last week. This week he takes out Bronson Reed, and he's done with the mid-card. He wants the world title. So on the same night that Gable had a big moment, Nakamura ends this show. That's a pretty interesting, if done correctly, is always my key phrase here, because you never know with this company. But if done correctly, Nakamura versus Sethington for the next PLE, I'm down with it. Big time. Especially if you set it up the way they did last night, which is what they did. So I didn't mind that. A nonsensical, redundant six-man tag. But Nakamura laying out Sethington and Cody and Sammy like, what the... This dude just went into business for himself. What was that about? Sethington knocked out Kinshasa, and we end the show. So, I guess it's a heel turn. We kind of thought Nakamura turned heel many moons ago, though. Several weeks, maybe months ago, didn't we? And then all of a sudden, he started getting cheered a little bit more, so he was kind of in the middle. I guess this would tell you that's it. So that's Monday Night Raw, the 7th of August, 2023. Again, I guess some of the highlights are Gable's big W. Weird fatal four-way because they've all been losing a lot. But Gable, big moment, going for the IC title now against Gunther. What do you do? Big moment. Nakamura, that big ending moment on Raw, taking out the world champion. Official heel turn in the books. Big moment. Shayna Baszler dropping Zoey. And Trish being taken off of SummerSlam. I don't know what's going on with Trish and Zoey. A big night in Canada next week, though. I think Becky's going to be booed, and Trish would be cheered, right? So everything's going to be weird there, but a weird match that they booked with Shayna and Zoey, that's most likely going to be in the headlines as well throughout the next couple of days. The New Day returned to what? I don't know. But they did return. A really good backstage brawl with... Or no, backstage promo with the Judgment Day and a brawl at ringside with Raquel and Rhea. And a really good face-off promo, Miz LA Knight. So there are some headlines from last night's show. That's a good thing. At least a lot to talk about. Whether it was good or not, eye of the beholder. But headlines nonetheless. LA Knight, man, on Monday Night Raw. Pretty cool, actually. And usually I'm like, oh, the brand split's done anyway. At least they had him doing promotional work, so there'd be a reason, right? He's not just sitting there with a visitor's pass. But, you know, Miz has got to realize, I mean, he's over. He's over the yeah alone. Yeah, that's just cool, right? Sometimes whatever is cool is going to catch, you know, and it'll even overshadow everything else. You know, you can sing Sethington's song all you want, but you're not gonna do that out in the real world. You know, you're in traffic. You're not gonna get out of your car and just start going oh, and everybody else is gonna get out of their car in traffic and start doing the oh. You're not gonna do that. You know, if you're getting married and your bride is waiting on you, and everybody else is in the chapel, and everybody's waiting for the groom. Where is the groom? And you show up 2 hours late. You're the Chad Gable, maybe. You show up 2 hours late. And you're like, oh! Crowd is here! Ready to go! Waiting for me to start the show! Your bride is gonna walk off. You can't do that, man, in the real world. You're 2 hours late to your wedding. Oh! Upon entrance. You can't do that. Right? But you go up to the barista at Starbucks, you deliver your order, double shot, vanilla latte, and they recite your order, and after they're done making sure your order is correct, you just give a yeah, and maybe you get a little smile from that little cute barista, right? Maybe she gives you a little twinkle in the eye, right? Because you just say yeah, right? You just did the deed with the old lady in the bedroom, your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend. You roll over, yeah. Or she's just taking off her how you doings, and you're looking at her and you deliver a yeah. You'll get a little laugh from her, right? A little bit of a moment there, man. It's all stemming from the yeah. You could do that and it catches on. That's my point. That's why, you know, things like that, they catch on because it's cool and you can just do it, man. Yeah. You say it throughout the day 87,000 times. You annoy the shit out of people. Back in the Attitude Era, I can't tell you how many people we pissed off with what? What? It became a part of your day. It was a part of your language. Like hi, hello, bye, what was in those word categories, man. What? What? Literally, you'd get into fights because people who didn't watch wrestling, you were whatting them, and it would really gun underneath them. Yeah, something like that. And this dude is now number 3 once again with merchandise. There's been a lot of conflicting reports about merchandise sales. No, LA Knight is number 3 yet again. Bloodline and Cody Rhodes still reign over him. No pun intended, reigns. But he's back number 3 already, man. And that's with one Slim Jim victory. Other than that, he's been losing left and right and kept off shows. Now that he's getting a little bit of the rocket, even though he says he doesn't need it from the company, he's going to give himself the rocket. Now, if they do push him a little, don't be shocked if this dude creeps into 2. And does he take 1? Already was when it first came out. What was that? July 4th holiday? I think he cracked the number 1 spot, or maybe it was top 4. I don't know, man. Very cool to see LA Knight Monday Night Raw. Yes, before we end the Amped Up podcast, man, got to get the big screen up here so we can go over JR9 Gaming with the Super Chat, Super Thanks 2 spot, and he's got some stats for the Women's Tag Team Championship reigns. Let me get a swig of coffee for this, because BC did not go over this. It's going to be interesting. JR9 says, with Sonya's torn ACL, my thoughts go out to her. When WWE inevitably crown a new set of champs, it'll be the 7th reign this year alone. And we just started the 8th month of the calendar year. 7th title reign alone. And many vacancies, by the way. So I decided to do some detailed research to get stats that showcase just how horrific these titles have been booked since the titles were introduced February 17th, 2019, just a few years ago, guys. 4 years ago. We've had 22 unique reigns with 17 different sets of champs, as 5 teams were 2-time title holders. Below are all the reigns with numbers of days held. Bayley and Sasha's first reign, 49 days. The Iconics, 120 days. Bayley and Sasha, 49. Iconics, 120. I don't know why Sasha would walk out. Alexa and Nikki Cross, first reign, 61. The Kabuki Warriors, 180. And you probably don't even remember the reign. 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. 6 months. Probably don't even remember it. How sad is that? That's how, every time Asuka has a title, you don't remember it because they don't give her an actual reign. Alexa and Nikki Cross's second reign, 62. Bayley and Sasha's second reign, 85. Hey, they decided to give them 36 more days than their first reign. JR9. Bayley and Sasha's second reign, 85. Nia and Shayna's first reign, 112. Asuka and Charlotte, 41. Nia and Shayna's second reign, 103. Natalya and Tamina, 129. I don't even remember them being 4-month champions. Nikki, Ash, and Rhea, 63. Carmella and Zelina, 131. Sasha and Naomi, 46. Aaliyah and Raquel, 13. Damage Control's first reign, 48. Alexa and Asuka, 4 days. Damage Control's second reign, 114. Becky and Lita, 41. Liv and Raquel's first reign, 39. Ronda and Shayna, 32. Liv and Raquel's second reign, 16. Chelsea and Sonya, 21. That is an average reign of just 74 days in a 1,632-day period. About 4.5 years. So just over 2 months per reign, which is simply unacceptable. Also, for a more recent analysis, since August 29th, 2022, when WWE crowned the new champs after Sasha and Naomi walked out, we've had 7 unique champions and 9 separate reigns as an average reign of just 34 days in a period of 343. Wild, man. Wild stats there, JR9. A lot to mull over for the unit, for sure. But what that tells you more than anything is they don't know what they're doing, A, with their tag team divisions, and I'm going to use an S because I mean the men as well. The women is just more tragic. It's actually like a curse for the females. I mean, you just link up with Raquel, you're getting injured. Right? Aaliyah, injured. Sonya Deville then tags up with her, injured. Liv Morgan tags up with her after Shotzi and Aaliyah are injured. She gets injured. Shotzi comes back, gets re-injured with Raquel. Liv gets re-injured with Raquel. And just the tag team, I mean, walkouts, torn ACL injuries, 112 vacancies. Man, those stats, you know what's sad about that, JR9, is I don't even remember most of them. All of them. All of them. I don't remember those tag reigns. I mean, you're telling me 100-something days here, 100-something days there. When? When did that even happen? It's wild, man. It's wild, and these are championships. And back in the day, tag team divisions were fun. when you got to see Demolition and Rockers and Heart Foundation and Legion of Doom Road Warriors. I don't care if it was the Fabulous Rougeaus or the Natural Disasters, the Killer Bees. Man, it was... Even if you took factions, it could be the Heenan family, but it felt like a tag team. And now it's like the New Day comes back after being away for a while, and I roll my eyes. You know, you got a badass team like the Viking Raiders, and you want to put your dome piece through a brick wall. One of the best teams in the world, the Usos, you're thanking. You're grateful and thankful that they're involved in the Bloodline storyline. Otherwise, they'd be casualties in this whole division. And that's one of the best tag teams in the world. Pretty Deadly, this big debut, and you think they're doing something with them, and then they're just gone. Injuries or just bad booking, it doesn't matter. Where do you think Pretty Deadly is going? Gable and Otis, we get a good chuckle, right? We both know they should have something for them individually. You throw them together, they're a good comedy act that's good for nothing other than losing. And that's what they've done. Tag team divisions, they have to get this right. There's a lot of issues in the company, but the tag divisions is where it starts. Guys, I kept you here long enough. That's your Monday Night Raw review for Monday, the 7th of August. And that is your Amped Up podcast for the 8th of August. I appreciate you guys big time, man. JR9 Gaming, thank you for the stats. Absolutely. Just mind-boggling. And I know there was more, too, to that super thanks. I will absolutely be checking that out. But for time constraints and for my unit to digest that info, because I want them to, I'm holding that off there, but I'll absolutely check the rest of that out, no question. JR9 Gaming, my right-hand man on the channel, there with some interesting and sad stats. That's Monday Night Raw. At least there was headlines for this show, man. At least there's some jump-off points. I just wish they had something for Cody Rhodes, but I told you guys from the jump, they don't, and they won't. They only have Judgment Day to work with. That should be fun for the next 4 months. Every Monday night, Cody and somebody versus Judgment Day. Cody and somebody versus 3 members of Judgment Day. Maybe you'll even add McDoughnuts in there every once in a while. My name's BC Amplified. This has been the Amped Up Podcast. Until next time, and there will be a next time. Top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you. Salute!